Hello, crypto legends. I hope you're doing great and you've had a fantastic weekend. I've been very bullish on Bitcoin throughout the last few months and weeks, looking for the swing long positions to take profit at all-time high, which has played out very, very nicely. Now, I'm going to explain in this episode, looking at the technicals and the structure, why I am not feeling that bullish for a massive breakout and go to crazy targets such as 150K and 200K. I do believe that we are getting a little bit exhausted and that a big major pullback could be around the corner in the next coming weeks. Of course, I am in favor of hitting new all-time highs again, potentially in the next coming days, give or take 1 to 2 weeks. But a big correction could be around the corner, and I'm going to break it down for you today in this episode. Now, as you know, I've been swing long throughout the last few weeks and taken most of the profits throughout different exchanges, okay? I'm no longer in any big major position yet, but I will be looking to get into one, and I'll be sharing that with the Telegram community and the Legends Pro guys. If you're interested, make sure to join with the first link down below. If you are interested in trading, of course, Bluffing right now has this insane bonus, guys, which is VIP 1 and VIP 2. If you deposit more than 25K, you'll be getting VIP 1, which incredibly decreases your fees, okay? There is that 10% cashback also up to $3,000 on your deposit, guys, and that is by signing up with the second link down below in the description. So let's go right away and break down this scenario on Bitcoin. This is the 4-hourly time frame. What I am interested is how the price has moved to the upside since April. We had a major big range and correction throughout Q4 and part of Q1 of 2025, bottoming out here in April and then getting this massive rally. So all of this, without a doubt, labeled as a corrective structure and then head up to new all-time highs. This is extremely important to understand how we got all the way up here. We had a massive move to the upside after this big correction. Then we corrected here throughout May and part of June, 3-wave structure. And then we got the rally here again, as you can see throughout July. Corrective move and hit all-time high. You can see the big move already happened throughout April and May. The next moves to the upside are decreasing in price action. And that is definitely to have the alarms on, guys, okay? Because a multiple 1-2 setup here has low probability. This would be the most bullish case scenario, which I think has very low probability. And there's a main reason why I explained this throughout the live streams. The reason is the second 1-2 after this big major correction, first 1 and 2, your second 1 and 2 right over here, your wave 1 had 3 waves. It is extremely hard to fit in a 5-wave structure. Your wave 4 is extremely shallow and small in time. So this fits better as a 3-wave move up. And that means one thing. If you're moving up in a 3-wave structure, okay, you need to start thinking of a flat scenario. Of course, a flat right over here is decreasing in probabilities. Of course, I'm not even considering it because you moved beyond the 1.618 extension from your possible A wave. And that means one thing, low probability for this to be a B wave, okay? You have a 3-wave move down and a 3-wave move up for your B wave, then could a flat be possible? Yes, if you do top out between the 236-1382 extension of your A wave. If you get beyond the 1.618, you get it off the chart, okay? So, hey, why, if there is a flat not possible in this zone, what other scenarios are we looking at? If a double 1-2 is not possible here because of your 3-wave structure in your second wave 1 and 2, well, what other scenarios are possible? Well, the one that has highest probability, which is likely what we are developing here throughout the last few weeks, is a ascending contracting diagonal. Now, obviously, this 3-wave move to the upside in your third wave automatically converts this into a double zigzag. There is ways of counting this as an impulse, but also as a double zigzag structure where you have a zigzag move to the upside, your correction, and another zigzag move up, which obviously turns into a 3-wave structure. 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, 3-wave down. We possibly finished the 5th wave, or are we still forming another zigzag to the upside? Now, this is my question right over here. I think there's higher probability that we do continue the range and we head up to all-time high. Just because this wave 5 to be finished right over here was a little bit too quick. There is a way of fitting a double zigzag in this movement up that we've had in August. However, it's a little bit too quick in time and it fits better to get the corrective move and another new all-time high with a target zone in between $128,000 and $138,000. The main reason why is because inside of a contracting diagonal, your fifth wave cannot be longer than the third wave, right? So if we do get the length of the third wave and go to the bottom of the fourth wave, well, the most common target area would be the 0.618 to the 0.78 area, right? Which is sitting around about $128,000 to $132,000. This would be the zone that I would expect the price topping out if we get that leg up in the next coming days after finishing the correction. And this is only Elliott wave and market structure. If you have such a big wave like this, and then your third wave, three-wave structure, you can see how the big move already happened. The waves are getting smaller and tighter. The only real thing that you can fit here that has higher probability is this ascending contracting diagonal. And what does this mean eventually? Well, we would have to label this as another 1 and 2, okay? Because on the higher time frame, as explained throughout different streams, okay, we have moved up in a 7-wave structure. I was going to say 5, but 7-wave structure where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And if we do believe that we are still extending here in this bull market for the next coming months, you have 1, 2, your third wave, 4, and you're still developing your fifth wave where you have 1, 2, potentially another 1, 2 here, and then breaking out in a third wave, 4, 5, and we do have the chance of getting up to 200K by the end of the year. There's without a doubt a high chance that that could happen. However, we need to break down this, okay? Of course, if we are forming an ascending contracting diagonal, we would be getting a pretty decent pullback down. I'm talking about $20,000 and even $30,000 from the potential top that we have been creating, okay? So getting it down to the fourth wave, which is $110,000 range, okay, 112K actually, that is a very common zone for a corrective move to go, and even lower eventually, right? And we are looking at 50% Fibonacci from the low to the all-time high, wherever that is. If the all-time high is here, well, you are looking for a move down below 100K, as 50% to the 7-8 Fibonacci is the common zone of a correction for your larger wave 2 here. Just something that we need to be aware of. Of course, we are going to be discussing the local price action and look at the different options, because a new all-time high does remain the highest probability, because if this were to be the end of the fifth wave, it would be a little bit too quick in my opinion. But there is information that I need to talk about in this zone that is mainly most important to take those decisions in the next coming days, okay? Maybe coming hours. So let's break it down on the 1 hourly time frame and look at how the price could develop. Now you have the most bullish case scenario eventually, which is this one right over here. We mentioned this throughout the last few days. Is it possible that we formed a 5-wave move up and we are forming an ABC flat here, and we just need the price to develop the first sign of strength? What would be the first sign of strength? Well, obviously, getting a 5-wave structure. For the moment, we could count this as your first little impulse. If you do get an explosive move up here throughout the next coming hours, you have your correction and form another leg to the upside. This would mean that this looks pretty promising, okay? You got a 5-wave structure, increasing volume, okay? And that means that this could have been the end of the correction in an ABC flat. And what we're looking at here is your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and head up to those targets, okay, of $128,000 to $132,000 in the next coming days. We need that sign of strength. We need the price to show us that, yes, we are finding support and this structure is definitely possible. And that all has to do with the 5-wave impulsive move that could get developed. If it is developed, we understand that we could be correcting and we are looking for a next leg to the upside to claim all-time highs in that third wave, right? At the end of the day, what we're looking at is a three-wave structure, okay, as explained with that contracting diagonal, okay, that I've just explained just a few minutes ago, okay? So that is the scenario that we are looking at that could potentially be developed, all right? So we need that five-wave structure if this were to be the bullish case scenario. We need the first leg up. It's too soon right now, and there's too many scenarios that could develop. I don't know which one is going to happen. There's too many. But if we do get a clear sign of strength in 5 waves up, I would definitely bet that, hey, the structure here is possibly finished, and we're looking for a new 5-wave impulse to the upside. But we need that first leg up, okay, with 5 legs, okay? So what are the other scenarios that could develop? There is another one that could be definitely possible where you have a 5-wave move to the upside here, and instead of counting an ABC flat, well, literally, all of this movement has been your third wave. A quick 4th steep wave, and then your 5th wave, okay, hitting all-time high. And the correction has potentially not finished, okay? So what we're looking at here is that we moved down, pretty aggressively in your A wave. We could be forming a zigzag or a flat scenario in this zone, okay? This could actually be an internal flat from the last few days. We got a lot of resistance here. It's the value area high of this entire range. We could be sweeping up those lower highs of the last few days and attempting to break above value area high and fail to do so, okay? Which would be that flat structure that could be your B wave, and then you form a 5-wave move down to finish your C wave. General idea would be an ABC movement to try and find some support, sweep up the local lows, value area low, even these lows. We do have a weekly naked point of control in this area and the golden pocket, okay, which is literally at the value area low. This would be a very interesting movement. If we head up here to 120K and get rejected at value area high, we actually form a flat in your B wave and then move down, see proof of support. This is going to be a very, very interesting zone to, start looking for proof of support, okay? Not instantly long, in my opinion. I'm not too in favor, just realizing the possible breakdown, okay? There is the chance of this being finished, okay? These are the scenarios that still remain bullish. There is a way of counting a double zigzag here. Zigzag, correction, then you got your new high with another zigzag up. If that is the case, there is that potential that this 5th wave has finished here, okay? I'm not leaning on that right now too heavily because we need more information. But there is, without a doubt, a chance that it could be in there. So if you do get a corrective move up here and you start breaking down, we are leaning on the idea that this is a 5-wave move up and you have a 3-wave correction. Let's all long aggressively at the golden pocket 7/8 Fibonacci because the value area low is going to hold. And then it turns out that this is a 3rd wave to the downside, a wave 1, 2, and 3. There are some risks here, okay? There is the chance of this being the end of the 5th wave. So, hey, you are saying you have no clue, are we going to get supported here or not? Well, that's what I want to make you understand, that we need the proof of support here, legends, okay? We need to see that corrective structure. And if we are going to break down here in a 5-wave move down, we need to see proof of support at the golden pocket, value area low of the zone. Seeing that proof of support, okay, holding the zone could be a good sign. What we would want to see later on, if we do form that 3-wave corrective structure, this is what we're leaning on here, we need to see our breakdown, okay, failing to do so and start getting that impulsive move to the upside in a 5-wave structure. The same scenario as the flat that was explained a few minutes ago here, okay, but instead of getting the 5-wave move up here, you form a correction and you get one more leg down to sweep below $116,000. And then you get your 5-wave move up. If that is the case, what we're looking at here is the correction. That's where we are interested in getting in here, because we could know that this has been a 3-wave corrective structure. Your 3rd wave has failed to break down, meaning that we could automatically think that it's a C wave, and then you have your first strength, okay, your first leg up in a wave 1. And that's how the market moves, guys. You're always going to get your first leg to the upside to then form 3, 4, 5, right? So we are interested in the 3, 4, 5. We need our first leg after the proof of support, understanding that all of this is the end of the correction, right? Just to have the probabilities in our side. So eventually that's what we need on the second scenario, right? Which would be this one right over here. We're still forming a larger ABC type of movement, right? Potentially a flat. Here could be the scenario, and then get that movement to the downside. Now, if we were to form this flat, it is interesting because we've got the lower highs of the last few days, and we've got the value area high of this entire range also, right? So could we extend our legs here, hit the 382 Fibonacci, maybe the 50%, right? And then we struggle very, very much at the value area high, which has been a level that has been proven to get resistance, okay? And then we get the movement down to sweep up the lows and head down to the value area low. So we need a little bit of more information here, as you can see, right? A little bit more information. If we do get this and then this, I am going heavily long, guys, because I am expecting all-time high to 128 and even 132K throughout the next 1 to 2 weeks if we get this information. If we get that leg up with a sign of strength from here, then I'm leaning with this scenario, ABC flat. I need that nice 5-wave move up and then the correction, right? And this would be the zone to go ultimately long, okay? Looking for that 5-wave move to the upside, right? So as you can see, in breaking this down, we need a bit more information, right? Once we get that information after this big leg down, right? You know, the next movement is going to give us everything. The next movement is going to tell me what is going on and where the highest probability lies. Other scenarios to take into consideration, obviously, would be this, okay, which is definitely possible, right? At the end of the day, what we are looking for is a potential 3-wave move up, right? That's with the general idea that the contracting diagonal has the highest probability for the moment based on the structure of the last few months, right? The question is, how are we going to develop this 3-wave structure? Or is the wave 5 in, which is, you know, it's just a scenario that we need to be cautious about. I was very confident in this 3-wave structure, okay? Very corrective. We're looking for all-time high, bang, you know, making insane gains here throughout the long positions, okay? On different exchanges to get all the way up to all-time high. That's the main target of this swing long of the last few weeks. Right now, the high has been taken. There is the chance of the 5th wave being in because there is a double zigzag possibility here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've hit the all-time high. So it's, technically it is possible that it could be a local top and we get the correction in the next few weeks. It is without a possibility. This is why I don't want to go too crazy with longs in this area without having that extra information as explained. So other scenario, considering that, if the 3-wave move has not finished here throughout August, and we are looking for literally, ABC or a WXY, we've been talking about the first scenarios, which is 5-wave up, a flat, start bottoming out and then get the impulsive move to take out all-time high, get a nice little move to the upside. There are 2 scenarios, the one that I've explained the last few minutes. And then there is this one, which is a little bit more complex eventually, right? Where you've had your 3-wave move down. Okay, let's get the contracting diagonal out of the way and zoom in here through this price action, right? You got the 3-wave move to the downside, and then this turns into an A wave, a B wave, and then you have a 5-wave move to the upside right over here, okay, to finish your zigzag. This ultimately would be a 3-wave structure. And for the moment, we have formed a flat from your wave W, which is an ABC, a flat right over here. And now could the X wave be in already? Well, I mean, it definitely can, right? It definitely can. We need that first initial sign of strength, which would be, your first 5-wave structure to the upside. Right? And then obviously you would be looking for that 3-wave move up here for this double zigzag situation in a WXY. We need that first leg up, right? Same scenario as the first one that I mentioned here, which is literally the bullish one, right? Where you form, 5 waves up, 5 waves here, ABC flat. Instead of being 5 waves, it's an ABC, right? You can form a 5-wave structure inside of this scenario over here, which would turn into an ABC, a flat for your wave X, or even your wave X is still getting developed when we talk about this scenario. Now, in a wave X, you can form, a 𝗬𝗍𝗃 inside, where your wave X, your first wave of your wave X is a wave W in a flat structure. You form a zigzag up, for example, to form an X, and then you form another zigzag down for your wave Y. And that would be your wave X, okay? There's many ways that this could develop if it is going to be a complex sideways corrective structure or a not a double zigzag because you formed a flat here. So, but you could be forming a zigzag down. It would still be a sideways correction as your first wave is a flat. You could be forming a triangle. You could form a pretty heavy zigzag to the upside, fake out from the value area high, and then form a triangle here, okay, to finish your wave X in a sideways complex 𝗬𝗍𝗃 after this uptrend structure, and then head up eventually in your zigzag in your wave Y throughout the next week or so, right? It's still very complex. It's very choppy. I mean, this range was very confusing for a lot of people, but we were really analyzing the scenario for this to be corrective and obviously looking for the leg up to all-time high, which was the main swing long position, okay? So for this scenario, yeah, the low could be in. We need a sign of strength, 5-wave up, corrective structure. We can hop into a trade. This could extend for a few more days because inside of an X wave, you can form a 𝗬𝗍𝗃, right? Your W in a flat, zigzag up potentially, then another flat here, which could be very confusing, or even a triangle structure. So there's a lot of confusion here. We need that price action to get developed to understand exactly where we are, right? So that is another scenario which would eventually just end up in a 3-wave structure to the upside, WXY, right? Which is eventually finishing that contracting diagonal that we've been talking now for the last couple of weeks. So those are the main scenarios. How do I get into a trade? Like I mentioned, if this is going to be an ABC, we need our first leg to the upside. We need this third wave, okay, to fail and see proof of support at the value area low and the golden pocket. Seeing that proof of support, instead of having limit long positions here and, going all in because it's bullish or whatever, there is the risk of this being a wave 1, 2, and 3. There is that risk. I would rather wait for proof of support and see that this third wave down is failing to go lower and see the first sign of strength on that impulse, because the pullback will happen, and that's where I want to get in, right? And I will understand that this third wave has failed, which is increasing the probabilities of being a C wave once we get that sign of strength. And it doesn't matter catching the bottom. It doesn't matter if you get in a long here or here, right? If you get into a long here and the price really breaks down, then you're in trouble, right? You could get wrecked if you don't manage risk. But if you wait for that sign of strength, get back inside value area low, 5-wave structure up, you realize that you could be taking advantage of this momentum with high probability. That would be a confirmation, right? And that would be one scenario if we do form this ABC. If this is an ABC flat, you got 5-wave move up and your A wave, B wave, we need that first leg up in a 5-wave structure in the coming days, guys. There will be that, that clear price action that could really get us bullish, okay, to then get into the 3rd wave, 4th, 5th wave, right? Be inside of this range already, okay? Most important levels of support and resistance, well, we are inside of the value area. I think, the most important zones is inside of here. Point of control, which is getting choppy, getting a bit of resistance now. Value area low and value area high for those possible fake outs. Reclaim them, right? Get above it and fail to get, okay, continuation. If, this is the most important zone. If you fail to break value area high, well, you realize this could be a lower high and we're coming down to the lows again. If you fail to break value area low and you get back inside, well, that is the scenario. You're either looking for a 3-wave move here or you are looking for a 3-wave move here. Reclaim, that is bullish. You fail to break above value area high, that is bearish locally, and you're looking for these internal lows to be claimed. I'm going to keep it a little bit simple. There are some other levels. There's a weekly naked point of control here in this area. There is a weekly level down below. Okay, weekly naked point of control just slightly above the value area low of this entire trading zone. I wouldn't complicate myself with these levels. Eventually, you can form that flat. You can look for a short here. However, if you start breaking up, without a doubt, 50%, even to the golden pocket, could be that scenario of rejecting here, okay, and then coming down to the lows. All right, so it's just a little bit of aggressive way of trading, right? Trying to catch the pump as you realize, it wouldn't make sense to pump to higher levels. It is aggressive shorting zone if you do reject, okay? The 50% or the golden pocket could be a shorting option. And even breaking down here, the golden pocket from the low to the high is an option, but I've explained the safest way on how to get into the trade with higher probability instead of just longing randomly, okay? This could be a quick swing failure pattern. Golden pocket, value area low, sweep up the lows, boom, right? And you get that nice bounce to the point of control. It's a potential scalp. But I am interested more in looking for the big movements, right? And I do not know. I'm not interested too much in shorting. I might consider a short in this area, depending on how we move, okay? So if we move up in a three-wave structure and then we come down here, right? This does not look impulsive. We're breaking down the channel. I would consider a possible short, realizing that the lows here are likely going to be taken. I just need a little bit of more information eventually. I will be letting know the people in the Telegram, such as the Signals channel or the Pro community, when I'm getting into my next big Bitcoin swing position, because I am looking for a movement of at least $5,000 and even to $10,000, right? That's where I can maximize profits mostly. If you're interested in the Telegram, Signals, or Pro community, make sure to join the free community here down below, the Bitcoinsensus community, and you can get information on how to join either the Pro or the Signals channel. Thank you everybody for joining today, and I will see you in the next one.